3.3 million trucks across the United States have been hacked. Folks, we just got word late last night that this major hack has gone underway. We have Freight Waves on this reporting already, and there is a lot of information coming out. But obviously, truckers are not the highest on the priority list for a lot of these news medias, so a lot of news media has not picked up on this story yet. But Orbcom, which basically produces and runs these Blue Tree electronic logging devices, the ELDs, in trucks. So basically, when you're a truck driver and you have this log electronic buddy in your truck with you, kind of monitoring when you're driving, how many hours you have left, where you are, how fast you're going, all that kind of good stuff. And then it reports all that information to your managers. This is big. 3.3 million trucks have lost this service. Now, this, at first glance, it looks like people will just have to switch over to using the logbooks. And at first glance, that would seem like it's just a nuisance or an inconvenience, but we're going to get into why that's a much bigger deal and actually could cause some serious disruptions over the next several weeks of trucking. Also, we have another major fire that is it actually took place at the largest rail yard in the world, out in Nebraska, one of the largest rail yard, well, the largest rail yard in the United States by definition, and with just massive amounts of containers coming in and out. They actually evacuated a 4-mile zone around this thing. It was so toxic and bad. We got a lot to cover. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. If you don't know me, welcome to the channel. If you do know me, please do hit that thumbs up if you appreciate the reporting we do here, which is not being covered by mainstream media just yet. Both of these stories are not in the mainstream media, and both of these have some pretty big impacts on what's going on with shipping. All right, so let's look what we got here. Orbcom is a company. They got hacked, ransomware. They're saying it's going to take them weeks to get back online. Weeks. So we're not talking about a blip. It's not like it's already done. We're talking about a hack that is continuing to impact truckers. Now, they first got word of this hack or first noticed this hack on September 6th, but this is the first time they're being public about it. I did have a couple people chiming in my ear. I had at least one email which was, hey, there's something going on with shipping. This is big. I can't talk anymore about it. And so I got one of those, and then I also had another person kind of giving me that they expect to see major shipping issues, and neither one wanted to tell me what was going on, but it looks like this is what they're talking about. So the ELD was instituted in 2016, mandated that every trucker has to have one of these electronic units in the cab with them monitoring how many hours they're driving to make sure they're not driving too many hours. And it's a real pain in the rear end. No grace at all from these things. They are just hard and fast. And whether you love them or you hate them, one thing we can say about them is they are more convenient than the old logbooks. Now, the old logbooks can be fudged a little bit just to make things kind of work in certain circumstances where the ELDs do not fudge at all. And, the ELDs can tell if your truck is moving, all that kind of stuff like that. It's hardwired in. Now, the ELDs will not shut down the truck. Okay, so because they do not have access to the BT system, the Blue Tree system, does not mean that the trucks won't operate. So they can turn the key on and they can start driving, and their miles and their hours are not being logged. Now, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, these things, I can't read my writing, and they just made this really, really long name. Someone was getting paid for how many letters they used in the naming of this federal agency. They have given through September 29th for truckers with the Blue Tree ELD inside their cabs to use just the logbooks. So they are switched over to the logbooks. Since this hack happened almost a week ago, I imagine these truckers are already using logbooks, but that would explain some of the disruptions we've had going on out there. Why? It's not just because truckers are having to spend more time doing their logbooks, But remember that these ELDs report directly to your managers, right? So they interface with the dispatchers, and your managers can see how many hours you've logged, how many hours you have left, and when they're planning routes, when they're planning to dispatch truck drivers to this place or that place, they use this information in order to dispatch the right trucks and to do proper route planning. Managers and dispatchers can't see this information anymore. Now, truckers, a lot of truckers, if they have 7 years of experience or less, they may never have used the logbook. I believe they still have to learn the logbook, but they may not have used the logbook, or may have used it very, very infrequently. So there's going to be definitely an uptick on trying to figure that out and trying to do it properly, maybe forgetting to do it, all this kind of stuff like that. Hopefully that doesn't increase enforcement against truck drivers. But on the flip side, the route planners, the dispatchers, the ones planning out the loads and everything like that, they've, for the last 7 years, have been using exclusively their electronic systems that interface with the ELDs to plan routes and plan loads and all that kind of stuff. So what now? Are they up to speed on how to do this all by hand, or using an older software that they have still? Do they have backup systems for that? This is a lot of truck carriers out there. Some are small and can kind of figure it out as they go, but it's going to be a big headache for them. Larger truck companies, this may be a real big wrench in the engine, right? Now, if you're a trucker out there and you know more about what's going on with this and how your trucking company is dealing with this, please do let me know about this. Is this as big of an issue as it sure sounds like? FreightWaves seems to be making it out to be something pretty big. And from my understanding and my learning on the issue, it sounds quite like a big deal with freight. If you have inside information, you can either email me directly, and that'll be completely anonymous, at poplarpreparedness@gmail.com. If you want to just post an update on one of these videos, just use the word update, and then just on any of the videos on this channel to let us know that. That's not quite as anonymous, but whatever your comfort level with these things are, give us some updates on what's going on with trucking. Is this a big issue? Is this not a big issue? How is your trucking company dealing with this if they are impacted by this? Or maybe your trucking company uses a different ELD system. All right. On to that second story that I was talking about. Okay, so the Union Pacific Railroad Bailey yards suffered a catastrophic explosion and fire at 12:10 p.m. yesterday, and they evacuated a 4-mile radius around the whole area. That includes the whole Bailey yard, right? So workers were evacuated, as well as civilians, and as well as residences in the surrounding area. And this yard is big. We're not talking a small yard. 2,800 acres. That's how big the Bailey Yards is. This is the largest rail yards on the planet. So obviously it's a major scene where they are moving freight from one train to the next. They're swapping cars from one train to the next. And this started with an explosion in a container. So a container unit exploded and caught fire, and then it did eventually set fire to at least one tanker as well, because I've seen video of a tanker on fire from that. So a tanker on fire plus at least this container unit on fire. Lots of pictures of heavy smoke, and as they say, heavy toxic smoke was the quote from the rail yard there on why there should be evacuations. So now this fire has apparently been put out. They say that it was extinguished by 5:30 p.m. local time. So it started at 12:10 p.m. local time and was extinguished by 5:30 p.m. local time. But we're talking a rail yard that handles thousands of shipping containers, transfers thousands of shipping containers per day. So imagine that's going to set things back a little bit. That means trains are going to be heading out of the rail yard maybe half a day late, maybe a full day late. Is this going to really mess things up there? Possibly. Depends on how long people were evacuated from the rail yard, how much work they were able to get done, and if there are any other extensive damage to any of the infrastructure there. Now, the word is that the container was there and it was sitting for hours before it exploded, so it was not in transit, wasn't on a moving train, and it wasn't because it got jostled or something like that. It just kind of spontaneously exploded. The chemicals that were involved are rather toxic, and that's why they did the evacuation. Whether that was the unit, the container itself, or the tanker that caught fire next to it, we don't know about that, and how many other cars were involved, we don't know that yet either, but it does appear to be extinguished, but that may cause some issues with rails out there. Now, this is not completely related, but this is something I am going to throw out there too. I am keeping a close eye on what's going on outside Taiwan. Before I posted my video yesterday, the international media and everyone else was like, it's not a real issue. And then now everyone's kind of like, what's going on? Korea has deployed naval assets as well as air assets to monitor what the Chinese are doing. Japan has done the same. And Taiwan has requested the Philippines deploy naval assets as well. The United States has its local carrier, the Ronald Reagan, is in port, which is concerning. It is in port in Japan, within missile range, ballistic missile range of the Chinese. So it is stationary and it is vulnerable to missile attack. We do have I believe 2 light carriers in the area, diesel-powered, helicopter carriers or landing assault craft or whatever you want to call them. So we do have a couple helicopter carriers in the region. One is relatively close, and I believe the other one is down more towards Thailand, but could be moved up relatively quickly. And I don't know what kind of assets they have alongside those carriers. But we are watching the developing situation there. As many as 50 Chinese Navy ships are surrounding the island of Taiwan as we speak, with up to 100 aircraft have breached the median zone already. So is this a major exercise? Is it a major threat? It looks like that, but it could escalate. We are seeing some reports of ground assets moved into the area, some videos circulating of Chinese armor moving towards the coast. But we will keep an eye on that. Right now, we shouldn't be super alarmed by it, but there is definitely potential there that this could be a significant escalation. All right, folks, thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar with Poplar Report out.